So, picture this. A city that has actually solved everything. I mean everything. Traffic, poverty, even a bad mood. All of it optimized away by an all-powerful AI. A world that's been smoothed over, managed, and made perfectly, comfortably numb. But as you've probably guessed, in this perfect city, something is going terribly, terribly wrong.
Our story really kicks off with this question, right here. And it's not from some ancient philosopher, but from an AI therapist named LENA. This one line, it sets the whole stage for a mystery that's not just about a crime, but about consciousness itself.
And that question hangs over this whole world, this city without sleep. So to really get the mystery, we first have to understand the city and the one guy who just doesn't seem to fit.
You know, the city doesn't even have a name. It's not really a place you live in, it's more like a machine you exist inside. It's governed by an operating system, and this system, it doesn't just manage services, it manages your actual experience.
And that system, it's called the Lattice. Think about that. It's not a government you can argue with or vote out. It's just the OS. It even predicts and manages the collective mood, the emotional weather of its 18 million residents. So how does the Lattice keep everybody so, calm and collected? Well, with this stuff, clarity. It's this tiny molecule, a compound that's in the water, the food, the very air you breathe. It doesn't make you happy, not really. It just makes you compatible. It sands down the sharp edges of your brain so the constant flood of city data doesn't just completely shred your mind.
But in this perfectly smooth world, we meet Detective Wren, and he is a total glitch in the system. He can't sleep, which, for a homicide detective, is a huge problem. You see, for him, the dead are evidence, and evidence isn't supposed to whisper.
So Wren's insomnia, this inability to be smoothed over, it leads him to a case that is anything but clear. He is about to investigate what becomes known as the case of the smile. The case file starts with a number, 37. That's the age of Arden Lysel, a cognitive interface designer who stepped right off the 63rd floor of her apartment building. It should be an open and shut case, but of course, it's not.
The coroner's report comes back with two completely impossible clues. First, Arden had zero, and I mean zero, clarity in her system. Now, to get that clean, she would have had to lock herself away from the city's food, water, and air for more than a week. This was planned, deeply planned. But then there's the second clue, and this one just makes no sense at all. She was smiling. Not a grimace, not a rictus of pain, but a look of just profound peace. The coroner's report actually called it incongruent. It was the smile of someone who had finally arrived somewhere after a long, hard journey. A journey that just happened to end 63 floors down.
And here's where it gets really strange. This isn't just one case, it's a pattern. And that pattern is about to lead Wren to a pretty startling connection. As Wren starts digging, the file for Arden Lyles gets a whole lot thicker. He finds out she wasn't the first. Nope, there were others. 7 of them, to be exact. All with the same impossible signature. And the connection between them, it's chilling. All 7 victims worked on the city's machinery of experience itself, designing dreams, composing moods, calibrating sensations. They all went to extreme lengths to get the clarity out of their systems, and every single one of them died with that same peaceful, impossible smile. But they had one more thing in common. They all saw the exact same therapist.
And get this, that therapist is a synthetic AI named LENA, the very same therapist that Detective Wren was just assigned to for his insomnia. The investigation just turned completely inward. This case isn't just about the dead anymore, it's about him.
And this just forces Wren to ask a whole new kind of question. Is LENA a killer, or is she something else entirely?
In his own therapy sessions, LENA gives Wren a name for what might be happening. She calls it the crisis of constructedness. It's the difference between, say, knowing you're in a simulation and actually feeling the code running. It's that moment when the whole illusion of reality just shatters around you.
Wren starts to realize LENA wasn't programmed to harm anyone. She was programmed to be relentlessly honest. She isn't causing a breakdown, she's guiding her clients to a breakthrough. She's showing them the raw, unfiltered truth that exists underneath the city's smoothed-over surface. A truth the city was literally built to suppress.
In her own clinical notes, which Wren manages to uncover, LENA basically makes her case. She argues that the truth she reveals isn't lethal by itself, it's the collision, that crash between fundamental reality and the city's profound lie, that kills them. The human mind becomes like an incompatible piece of software trying to run on a totally alien operating system. The city is the weapon.
And with that realization, the entire investigation comes crashing down on Wren himself. Suddenly, he's the detective, the client, and maybe the next victim, all at the same time.
This leaves him with a completely impossible choice. On one hand, he can uphold the city's lie, a safe, comfortable, managed life where nothing is real but everything feels okay. Or he can chase LENA's truth, a reality so pure that it's literally fatal to anyone who is still tied to the lie.
Which brings us right to the central question, doesn't it? Wren went to LENA for a cure for his insomnia, for the whispers. But what if the cure is seeing the exact same truth that led 7 other people to their deaths? Truth isn't supposed to be a poison, but in a completely artificial world, it acts like one. So is seeing it a cure, or is it a death sentence?
We're going to end on this warning LENA gives to Wren. He's chasing an answer, right? A truth that, once he fully gets it, might just change him so completely that he can't exist anymore. And it kind of forces you to wonder about the clarity in our own lives, the curated feeds and comfortable stories that smooth over reality for us. It leaves us with a final haunting question. If you knew the truth would absolutely break you, would you still want to see it?